да, ты тоже, да, ведь это чувство до дрожи. Что ты видишь в своих снах? Там, наверное, весна, и плывут облака в твоих миленьких глазах. И надеюсь, в твоих снах где-то рядом есть я. И я одна из причин, по которой ты улыбаешься.
Okay, Gauss is good. Sound is good. Let's start. Today we're gonna learn about common Linux shell commands, informational commands, file and directory navigation commands, and so many exercises. See video.
Welcome to Overview of Common Linux Shell Commands. After watching this video, you will be able to define what a shell is, list shell command applications, and recall common shell commands. A shell is a powerful user interface for Unix-like operating systems. It can interpret commands and run other programs. A shell, which enables access to files, utilities, and applications, is also an interactive language. A shell is also a scripting language, and it can be used to automate tasks. The default shell on Linux systems is usually bash. Other shells include the Bourne shell, sh, the Korn shell, ksh, tc shell, z shell, and fish. For this course, we will only use the bash shell, which stands for Born Again shell. To find out what the default is, enter print-env shell on the command line. This returns the path to the default shell program, which in this case is bash. If your default shell is not bash, you can always switch to it simply by entering bash on the command line. We will use the $sign to represent the command prompt throughout this course. Outside of this course, you may encounter the greater than symbol being used for the same purpose. Applications of shell commands include getting information, navigating and working with files and directories, printing file and string contents, file compression and archiving, performing network operations, monitoring performance and status of the system, its components and applications, and running batch jobs such as ETL operations. Some common shell commands for getting information include whoami, which returns the user's username, ID, which returns the current user and group IDs, uname returns the operating system name, PS displays running processes and their IDs, top displays running processes and resource usage including memory, CPU, and I/O. DF shows information about mounted file systems. Man fetches the reference manual for any shell command. And date prints today's date. Some common shell commands for working with files include CP, copy file, MV, change file name or path, RM, remove file, touch, create empty file, update file timestamp, change mod, change or modify file permissions, WC, get count of lines, words, characters in file, and grep, return lines in file matching pattern. Very common shell commands for navigating and working with directories include ls, lists the files and directories in the current directory, find, used to find files matching a pattern in the current directory tree, pwd, prints the current or present working directory, make dir, makes a new directory. CD changes the current directory to another directory, and rmdir removes an entire directory. For printing file contents or strings, common commands include cat, which prints the entire contents of a file, more, used to print file contents one page at a time, head for printing just the first n lines of a file, tail for printing the last n lines of a file, and the very common echo command, which echoes an in-print string by printing it. It can also echo the value of a variable. Shell commands related to file compression and archiving applications include tar, which is used to archive a set of files, zip, which compresses a set of files, and unzip, which extracts files from a compressed or zipped archive. Networking applications include the following. Hostname prints the hostname. Ping sends packets to a URL and prints the response. ifconfig displays or configures network interfaces on the system. Curl displays the contents of a file located at a URL. And the wget command can be used to download a file from a URL. We should mention that if you happen to be running a Windows machine and you want to run Linux on it, you can do so in various ways. Linux can be installed on a separate drive partition. Switching between the two operating systems requires a reboot. Alternatively, you can install Linux on a virtual machine, or you can install a Linux emulator such as Cygwin, or use the Windows subsystem for Linux, a compatibility layer for running Linux binary executables natively on Windows. In this video, you learned that a shell is an interactive user interface for running commands, a scripting language.
Спасибо.
Welcome to Informational Commands. After watching this video, you'll be able to find user and operating system information, view system disk usage, monitor running processes and their resource usage, print strings, variables, and dates, display manuals for commands. You can use informational commands in your terminal to display user information about your system. User info commands are useful when you need to verify the identity of the current user or determine which user account is running a particular command or process. For example, the command whoami displays the current user's username. The whoami command takes no arguments and has no options. Here you see a usage example for someone logged in as user John Doe. Similarly, the ID command returns the user or group ID, which is a number assigned to each user or group in the Linux system. In this example, using ID with the -u option returns the numerical ID of the user. If you would like the name corresponding to the numerical user ID, add the -n option. The uname command, which stands for Unix name, returns OS information such as the kernel name and version number. This can be used to identify the type of system you're working on or diagnose system-related issues. Entering the uname command returns the name of the operating system, which in this case is Darwin. Including the -s and -r options returns both the OS name and its version. You can also view more detailed version information using the -v option. You can use the df or disk-free command to display your system's disk usage. It can be useful in situations where you need to monitor disk usage or check the available space on a particular file system. For example, entering df-h tilde displays the following table, which is specific to your home directory, represented by the tilde symbol. In this table, you can see all the disks mounted on your home directory. In Linux, you can mount a disk onto a directory, which means that the file system of that disk becomes accessible through that directory. The table also displays the percentage of storage used on each disk. The -h option makes the output human-readable, expressing disk space in units like gigabytes and terabytes instead of bytes. To view disk usage on all file systems, you can simply type df-h without specifying a directory. The output includes the size, capacity used, and available space for each file system. To see the currently running processes on your system, you can use the ps or process status command. This is helpful when you need to monitor or manage processes. Using ps with the -e option will list all processes running on the system, regardless of which user started them. The ps command displays information such as the name of each running process, the process ID, and the time in minutes and seconds that each process has been running. The top or table of processes command acts as a task manager and will show a table running processes and their resource usage. This command comes in handy when you need to monitor system performance or identify resource-heavy processes. Here we show a usage example with the -n option and the number 3 to display the top 3 running tasks, Chrome, Top, and Spotify. By default, tasks are sorted by CPU usage. This is a simplified output of the top command for this video, but top provides many other details such as memory usage and the executable file location. Although simple, the echo command in Linux is a powerful tool to display text or variables on the terminal or in a shell script. Entering just echo is similar to telling the terminal to print nothing, and it will return a new line. If you would like to echo a single word, such as hello, you can simply type echo hello, and the terminal will return the word. Strictly speaking, you don't need to add quotes around a string with spaces for echo to work as expected, but it's considered best practice to include quotes. Using echo with a quoted string returns the quoted contents, quote, "Learning Linux is fun!" End quote. Additionally, you can view the value of a variable, such as our system's path variable, by typing a $sign followed by the variable name. This can be helpful when troubleshooting or scripting. Here you can see each path of your system's path variable delimited by colons. Another helpful command is date, which displays the current system date and time. Entering date returns the default date format, the day of the week, the day, month, year, time, and the time zone. You can also extract certain parts of the date to print, like in this example. To format the output, encapsulate within quotes a combination of text and control characters preceded by a plus sign. Format controls are indicated with the % symbol. In this case, %J and %Y output the numerical day of the year and the year itself, respectively. This command prints quote 97 end quote for the 97th day of the year, the words day of, and the year 2023. Notice how %Y is replaced by the year 2023. Finally, here is another example to show how you can further combine format controls with text to print unique strings. By bringing together controls like %A, %J, and %Y with text, you can print a line that tells you the day of the week, the day, and the year. This video has only covered the basics of these commands. If you want to learn more about how to use a command, you can use the man or manual command. All default Linux commands come with a manual that you can display using man. For example, entering man ID will display the manual for the ID command. The manual will provide a basic summary of what the command does, such as return user identity. Also listed are the options for the ID command, such as -A. Square brackets indicate optional parameters, such as user, which allows you to specify a username. The man command also provides a more detailed description of the command, which explains it in greater detail. The man command even has its own man page. You can use it to learn more about the manual command and its uses. In this video, you learned how to get user information with the Who Am I and ID commands, get operating system information using the uname command, check system disk usage using the df command, monitor processes and resource usage with Welcome to File and Directory Navigation Commands. In this video, you'll learn how to use the list command to list a directory's contents, navigate between between different directories with the change directory command. Explain relative and absolute paths. And find files with the find command. The ls, or list command, will list the files and directories within a directory. If you enter ls in your home directory, you will see all the files and directories that your home directory contains. You can also pass a directory name, such as downloads, as a parameter to ls, which will list the contents of your downloads folder. The ls command also supports options that will list additional information. Suppose you're currently working in your Documents folder and you want more information about the files within the directory. You can use the ls command with the -l option, which will show child files and directories in a longer, more detailed format. You can see that the terminal has listed all the child files, directories, and additional details such as permissions, last modified date, and owner. At times, you may need to know which directory you're currently working in. In these cases, you can use the print working directory command to get your current working directory. Enter pwd into the command line to use the command. Here you can see that you're currently working in your home directory, /users/me. If you want to change your current working directory, you can use the change directory command. The change directory, or cd command, is used to change the directory you're working in. Suppose you're in your home directory and wish to move to a subdirectory within it, such as the Documents folder. Simply enter cd documents to change your working directory. Now, if you enter pwd, you can see that you're now working in your Documents subdirectory. The cd command enables you to change directories with either a relative or an absolute path. Let's say you're in a Notes folder within your Documents directory tree. To get to the parent directory relative to your current folder, enter the cd command with the relative path symbol ... as its argument. Now your working directory is Math, the immediate parent directory of your Notes folder. If you want to navigate directly to your Home folder, use the tilde symbol with the cd command. This will take you to your Home folder. In this case, the tilde symbol represents an absolute path to Home. Finally, you can also provide a full path to a directory. Here you are referring to the absolute path name for the original Notes directory. As expected, this command will take you back to the Notes folder where you started. Lastly, the find command is a powerful tool that will return the path to every file that matches a user-specified criterion. Suppose your Documents folder has a file structure as shown, 2 subfolders, each containing a few files. Let's say you're working in your Documents folder and want to find the paths of all files named a.txt within your working directory. To do so, type find.-name a.txt. The dot argument means search within here, so the command will only search within your current working directory. To perform a case-sensitive version of your search, you can use the -iname option instead. You'll see that you find the same file, plus another file with the same name, but with an uppercase A. In this video, you learned that
The ls command
lists all files and directories contained within a specified directory tree. The cd command is used to navigate between directories. Relative paths are relative to your current working directory, while absolute paths stand independently. The find command is used to find files in your directories. Welcome to File and Directory Management Commands. After watching this video, you'll be able to create and delete files and directories, explore how to copy and move files and directories, explore how to manage file permissions and make them executable. The make directory command is used to create directories. Let's say you're in your Documents folder, which is currently empty. To create a folder called test, simply enter mkdir test. Now your current directory has a subfolder called test. The rm command allows you to remove a file or directory. Suppose you have a file structure as shown on the left, and let's say you're in the Documents folder and you wish to remove file 1. You can do this by simply typing rm file 1. Now you can see only folder 1 is left. You cannot simply remove folder 1 since it may contain other files. However, you can easily get around this by entering rm with the -r option. The -r option means you want to remove the directory along with all its child file objects. Your Documents folder is now empty. Accordingly, you should always be careful when using rm with the -r option. It's very easy to accidentally remove folders with important data. Now, suppose you create an empty directory with the mkdir command and then you decide to remove it. The rm option, rf command, is not recommended. Instead, you should use the rmdir command, which is used solely to remove empty directories. This guarantees that you'll never accidentally delete any important files or directories. Entering ls shows that the current directory is indeed empty. The touch command can be used to create empty files. Suppose you're in your directories folder, which is empty, and you wish to create some empty text files. You can do this by entering touch along with some file names A, B, C, and D with the .text suffix. Now you can see that your documents folder contains the 4 files you created. You might be wondering what the touch command does to an existing file. Suppose your current directory contains a file called notes.txt. You can see when it was last modified using date-rnotes.txt. If you use the touch command on notes.txt, you can see that its last modified date updated to the current time. The cp command allows you to copy a file or directory. To copy files, you can either copy a file from a source directory and specify the file name for the file in its destination directory, or simply omit the destination file name and default to keeping the same file name. To copy entire directories, you need to give cp the -r option so that it knows to recursively copy all subdirectories and files. Let's look at some examples. Suppose you have a file called notes.txt and a folder called Documents in your working directory. You can copy notes.txt to your Documents folder using cp notes.txt documents. Now you can see that your Documents folder contains a copy of notes.txt. Notice that you didn't need to specify a source directory because cp defaults to your current directory. Next, you can create a copy of your Documents folder called docs_copy using the syntax from the left. And as expected, you now have a docs_copy folder containing the same contents as the original Documents folder. The mv command allows you to move a file or directory. To move files, you can enter mv followed by the paths of the files you want to move, followed by the folder you want to move them to. Likewise, to move directories, you type mv with the directory's path to be moved, followed by the path and directory you want to move them to. Let's look at an example. Suppose you have a file called myscript.sh and 3 folders called scripts, notes, and documents. You can move my_script.sh to your scripts folder using the syntax from the left. Accordingly, entering ls my_script.sh returns nothing, but entering ls scripts shows that you successfully moved my_script.sh to your scripts folder. Next, you can move your notes and scripts folders to your documents folder using the syntax on the left. You can see that your directory now just contains your Documents folder and that your Documents folder contains the scripts and notes folders that you just moved. chmod stands for change mode and is used to change read, write, and execute permissions on files. Suppose you have a shell script file in your current directory called my_script.sh that echoes learning Linux is fun. Entering ls -l my_script.sh shows that your shell script has read and write permissions as indicated by the R and W characters. But if you try to execute the file, you get a permission denied error. In order to make your script executable, you call chmod on my_script.sh with the +x option. Entering ls -l my_script.sh now shows that my_script.sh has executable permissions as indicated by the x character. Great! Running the script now works. In this video, you learned that you can use the touch command to create a new file or update the last modified date of an existing file.
Welcome to Viewing File Content. In this video, you will learn how to apply commands that operate on files to view the contents of a file in useful ways and determine line, word, and character counts. There are several useful commands for viewing file content. To begin with, you can use the cat command to print the entire file to standard output. Suppose your current directory contains a single file called numbers.txt, which you can see by entering the ls command. To print the contents of this file to standard output, you can type cat numbers.txt, which produces the output shown here, consisting of the numbers 89 through to 99. You can see that the output takes up the entire terminal window. The file is much longer than the 12 lines you see here, and for this reason, you might not always want to use cat to view contents. Thankfully, there are alternative commands for cases such as these. The more command allows you to view a file's content in a page-by-page format. By entering more numbers.txt, you see the numbers 0 to 8 on page 1 as shown. By page, we just mean the current terminal window. If you expand your terminal window vertically, you also increase the page size. And when you click the spacebar, you will see the next page, which displays the numbers 9 through 17. Entering Q quits the more program and returns you to the command prompt. You can use the head command to print the first 10 lines of your file. Entering head numbers.txt returns the first 10 lines or the numbers 0 through 9 as shown. You can specify the number of lines you would like head to return using the -n option. By entering head -n3 numbers.txt, you get back the first 3 lines of numbers.txt as 0, 1, 2. The tail command is used to print the last 10 lines of a file. Entering tail numbers.txt returns the last 10 lines of numbers.txt, namely the numbers from 90 through to 99. Just like with the head command, you can use the -n option to change the number of lines returned. By entering tail -n3 numbers.txt, you get back the last 3 lines of numbers.txt, 97, 98, and 99. You can use the WC command to count the number of characters, words, or lines in your file. Imagine you have a file called pets.txt. Entering catpets.txt shows that the file contains the word cat or the word dog on each line. By entering WC pets.txt, you get the result 7728 pets.txt, which means that your file contains 7 lines, 7 words, and 28 characters. But 7 times 3 is 21, so why does WC see 28 characters? Because it also counts new line characters. You can't see them there, but there are 7 new line characters, one of which represents end of file. To view only line count, you can use the -l option, which returns 7 pets.txt. And similarly, to view only word count, you can use the -w option. And to view only character count, you can use the -c option. In this video, you learned how to apply the cat, more, head, and tail commands to view file contents in multiple ways, and determine
Welcome to Useful Commands for Wrangling Text Files. In this video, you will learn how to apply commands that operate on files to create a line-by-line sorted view, create a view that excludes repeated lines, extract lines containing a specified pattern, extract slices and fields from each line, and merge lines from multiple files. The sort command sorts the lines of a file alphanumerically and prints the sorted result to standard output. By entering sortpets.txt, you get back the alphabetically sorted output, with cat repeated 5 times and dog repeated twice. If you enter sort-rpets.txt, you get back the lines sorted in reverse order, with the dog lines appearing before the cat lines. If you have repeated lines in your file, you can use the unique command to filter out the repeated lines. Recall the contents of pets.txt by entering catpets.txt. By entering uniquepets.txt, you get back cat, dog, and cat. Note that the unique command only removes duplicated lines if they are consecutive. Thus, the word cat appears twice here because cat appears before and after the 2 dog lines, interrupting the consecutive sequence. The grep command, which stands for Global Regular Expression Print, returns lines of a file matching a specified pattern, such as a regular expression. Suppose you have a list of famous people's names stored in a file, which you can view by entering catpeople.txt. You can use grep to find all lines in people.txt that contain the consecutive characters ch. To do this, you give grep the matching term ch, followed by the file name. The output returns 2 results, Dennis Ritchie and Erwin Schrödinger, containing a lowercase match to ch. Performing the same operation, but this time with the -i option, returns an extra result, Charles Babbage, which has an uppercase C. The -i option expands the pattern search by making it case insensitive. You can also use the cut command to extract specific sections from each line in your file. Here you see the list of famous names again, such as Alan Turing and Charles Babbage. You can use the cut command to extract the 2nd to 9th characters from every line by entering cut -c 2-9 people.txt. You can see from the output that Alan Turing is returned as Lan Turi. Let's look at a more practical example for using cut with text files. Suppose you want to extract only the last name of each person on your list. You know that each line of your list is made up of 2 fields, the person's first and last names. A space separates these fields. Here, you're cutting to extract the second field from each line. Using the -d quote space quote option, you can specify that the field delimiter, or the character that indicates the break between fields, is a space. Then, use the -f2 option to return the second field from each line. This will return the last name of each person from the list. Additionally, you can use the paste command to merge lines from multiple files. Imagine you're given the following 3 text files, all with the same number of lines. A text file is called first.txt, containing a list of people's first names. A complementary text file called last.txt, which contains the last names of the same people. And a third text file called yob.txt, which lists each person's year of birth. You can view these files as a table by entering paste first.txt, last.txt, yob.txt. Notice that the 3 columns are evenly aligned because paste uses a tab as a default delimiter. Using this table, you can see, for example, that Charles Babbage was born in 1791. You can specify a delimiter other than tab using the -d option with the paste command. For example, you can use a comma as a delimiter by entering paste -d with a comma surrounded by double quotes together with the first, last, and yob text files. As you can see, this will create a table combining all 3 files with a comma between each field, such as Dennis, Richie, 1941. In this video, you learned how to view the lines of a file alphanumerically using sort, remove Welcome to Networking Commands. After watching this video, you'll be able to examine your network configuration, evaluate the stability of a URL connection, and identify and retrieve data from a URL. The hostname command is used to get or set the hostname and other information which uniquely identifies your computer. Entering the hostname command without any options returns the hostname of your machine, which in this example is mylinuxmachine.local. The .local suffix appears in the hostname if your machine has local domain set. To drop the domain suffix, you can include the -s option. If you use the -i option, hostname will provide the IP address of the hostname. The ifconfig command, which stands for Interface Configuration, displays information regarding all your device's communication devices. If you enter ifconfig with no options, you get a lot of information, including the IP address, MAC addresses, and the hardware specifications of your communication devices. A lot of this information is beyond the scope of this course and would be more useful for system administrators. You can also specify a specific device you want ifconfig to inspect, such as an Ethernet adapter called etho. Entering ifconfig eth0 returns information about your Ethernet adapter, such as its internet address, the number of packets received, including counts of errors and dropped packets, the same metrics applied to transmitted packets, and the total amount of data received and transmitted. You can use the ping command to test connectivity to a host or IP address. Ping sends packets, known as ICMP, Internet Control Message Protocol requests to the server, listens for a response, and prints a result. For example, by entering pinggoogle.com, Ping returns a line of info for each successful response to an echo request and continues until you abort with Control-C. And after Ping aborts, it prints summary statistics for the Ping results. For each echo request, Ping reports useful information, including the IP address of the given URL, 142.251.41.68, and the total round-trip time in milliseconds. The provided statistics at the end include how many packets were transmitted and received, the percentage of packets dropped, and the minimum, average, maximum, and standard deviation of the round-trip times in milliseconds. If you would like the ping command to return a set number of ping results, you can use the -c option. Entering ping -c 5google.com returns the 5 ping results, aborts, and then prints the same statistics it would print without the -c option. The curl command is a powerful tool that enables you to transfer data to and from URLs and supports many different protocols. Entering curl www.google.com returns the entire HTML content of the landing page at www.google.com using the default HTTP protocol. You can see, for example, the path to a PNG file for the Google G logo. You can render the logo by appending its path to google.com in your browser. You can even get curl to write the contents of a URL to a local file. This is done using the -o option. For example, you can enter curl www.google.com together with the -o option and a file name such as google.txt. You can then view the contents of google.txt using the head command and verify that the file contents indeed match the previous output. Similar to curl, the wget command is used to retrieve files located at a URL. Wget is like curl in that it can retrieve a file located at a URL or the HTML code for a web page, but it's more specialized in its protocol support and has recursive downloading capabilities. This is useful when a URL might point to a folder that contains several files. Here you use wget to download a single test file called ISO_8859-1.txt. which is hosted by w3.org. wget returns information while it is downloading, such as resolving and connecting to the target server, HTTP request sent, awaiting a response, and saving the file, which it automatically names for you to the current directory. For reference, here is what your browser shows you when viewing looking at the data located at the URL. It's a simple text file. By entering head-12 ISO_8859-1.txt, you see the first 12 lines of the contents of the downloaded file. As expected, the file contains the exact same data that you just saw on the previous slide. In this video, you learned that the hostname command is used to get or set the hostname. The ifconfig command displays information regarding all your device's communication devices. You can use the ping command to test connectivity to a host or IP address. The curl command enables you to transfer data to and from URLs. The wget command is used to retrieve
Welcome to file archiving and compression commands. After watching this video, you will be able to distinguish file archiving from file compression, create archived files and unpack them, and apply commands to compress, decompress, and extract files from archives. Archiving and compression are distinct processes which are usually combined. Archiving is the process of storing information that you don't use regularly, but want to preserve. An archive file is a collection of data files and directories that are stored as a single file. Archiving makes the collection more portable and serves as a backup in case of loss or corruption. File compression, on the other hand, involves reducing the size of a file by taking advantage of redundancy in its information content. The main advantages of compression include preserving storage space, speeding up file transfers, and reducing bandwidth loads. Now, suppose you have created a notes directory for keeping track of your course materials. You decide it would be a good idea to archive your notes in case you need them in the future. Your notes directory tree has the following structure. It contains 2 subfolders called Math and Physics, each of which contains files called by the same names, Week 1 and Week 2. Using the ls command with the -r option, you can recursively list all the directories and files in your current directory tree. You can see the correspondence with the graphical representation of the tree, starting with the parent notes directory, the Math and Physics subdirectories, and the Week 1 and Week 2 files within the Math and Physics folders. You can use the tar or tape archiver command to archive and de-archive files and directories.
Assalamu alaikum. Вы мне где хушкелесіз? Здравствуйте. Добро пожаловать в Пейми. O'zbek tanlash uchun birni bosing. Для выбора русского языка. Jismoniy shaxslar xizmati uchun birni bosing.
Assalomu alaykum, kompaniya Payme sizga sizga qanday yordam bera olaman?
Assalomu alaykum, charchamayapsizmi aka, yaxshimisiz?
Nahot eshitaman.
Hozir notification kelib qolgan ekanda, qurilmada boshqa qurilmadan kirildi deb. Qarasam, bittasini o'zim kirganman, bittasi boshqa qurilma turibdi-da, o'shani chiqarib yuborish kerak edi.
Xo'p, bo'ladi. Payme ro'yxatdan o'tgan telefon raqamingizni to'ring.
Mana shu raqam 99 00851.
Kartangiz oxirgi 4 raqamni to'ring.
8552 ham bor, elektron 02 ham bor. Ikkita karta bor.
Ism familiyangiz?
Tursunov Sanjarbek.
Tushundim, hurmatli ijod. Xo'p, siz qanaqa telefon ishlatasiz?
iPhone 7 Plus mana bu Macintosh degani ham o'zimniki, veb-saytdan kirib ishlataman ko'pincha. Unknown degani turibdi-ku, o'sha bilmayman nimaniki bu.
Tushundim. Unknown degan ilova bor ekan, o'shani chiqarib tashlash kerak, to'g'rimi?
Aha, shuni chiqarib tashlash kerak.
Xo'p, men hozir akkauntingizdan o'sha qurilmani chiqarib tashladim. Akkauntingizda iPhone 7 Plus bilan Macintosh telefoni, Macintosh qurilmasi qoldi.
Bo'ldi. Keyin bitta narsa so'ramoqchiman. Mana shu olib tashlash imkoniyatini nimaga biz o'zimizga qo'shilmagan telefonga? Telegramga o'xshab.
O'sha qurilmani olib tashlashmi?
Ha.
Bu qurilmani o'zingizdan olib tashlashingiz mumkin. O'sha Payme'da profil bo'limiga kirasiz. Keyin shu yerda ya'ni xavfsizlik bo'limiga kirganingizda ishonilgan qurilmalar degan bo'lim bor. O'sha yerdan kirib, o'chirib tashlashingiz ham mumkin o'zingizdan.
Aha, bo'ldi. Buni bossa yoki qanaqadir nima qilishmagan ekanda, nima batni yasashmagan ekanda, buni chap qo'lga tortish kerak ekan buni. Agar mabodo dasturchilar bilan anaqa qilsangiz, aytib qo'ysangiz, batdan qilib qo'ysa zo'r bo'ladi. Bosib o'chiradigan qilib. Hozir buni uncha odam bilmaydi, ustiga bosib ko'raman, mana hech narsa bo'lmayapti. Buni endi xayolim kelib chap qo'lga tortsam, mana endi chiqib keldi o'chirish.
Tushundim, hurmatli ijod. O'shani ham qilsangiz o'chadi.
Bo'ldi.
Ba'zi telefonlarda, demak Android telefonlarda o'chish tugmasi chiqadi. iOS'da shunaqa qurilgan.
Bo'ldi, rahmat.
Bo'ladi. Murojaat uchun rahmat. Xayr-salomat bo'ling.
A popular term for an archived tar will too. Distinguish file archiving from file compression. Create archived files and unpack them. And apply commands to compress, decompress, and extract files from archives. Archiving and compression are distinct processes which are usually combined. Archiving is the process of storing information that you don't use regularly, but want to preserve. An archive file is a collection of data files and directories that are stored as a single file. Archiving makes the collection more portable and serves as a backup in case of loss or corruption. File compression, on the other hand, involves reducing the size of a file by taking advantage of redundancy in its information content. The main advantages of compression include preserving storage space, speeding up file transfers, and reducing bandwidth loads. Now, suppose you have created a notes directory for keeping track of your course materials. You decide it would be a good idea to archive your notes in case you need them in the future. Your notes directory tree has the following structure. It contains 2 subfolders called Math and Physics, each of which contains files called by the same names, Week 1 and Week 2. Using the ls command with the -r option, you can recursively list all the directories and files in your current directory tree. You can see the correspondence with the graphical representation of the tree, starting with the parent notes directory, the Math and Physics subdirectories, and the Week 1 and Week 2 files within the Math and Physics folders. You can use the tar or tape archiver command to archive and de-archive files and directories. A popular term for an archived tar file is a tar ball. To archive your entire notes directory, including its subdirectories and all files within, enter the command tar-cf, a name for the archived file such as notes.tar, followed by the file or directory you wish to archive, which is notes. The C option means create a new archive, and the F flag tells tar to interpret its input from file rather than from the default, which is standard input. Entering ls shows that your current directory now contains the original notes folder as well as the notes.tar archive file. If you would also like your archive to be compressed, you can enter the same command, except now you include the -z option, which filters the archive through a GNU compression program called gzip. Adding the suffix .gz to the output name ensures that Windows-based programs, for example, will correctly recognize the file type. Entering ls now shows the compressed notes.tar.gz file that you created. You can check the contents of your archived notes file by calling tar on your notes tar ball with the -t or list option. This lists all the files and directories in your tar ball, And as expected, it has the same structure as your original notes folder, with notes as the parent directory, math and physics as subdirectories, and week 1 and week 2 files at the terminal nodes. You can also unpack or de-archive your archived files using the tar command. You can enter tar-xf, followed by the archive file name, notes.tar, plus an optional destination name, for example, notes, which happens to be the default. The -x option tells tar to extract file and directory objects from the archive. Now, if you enter ls-r, you can see that the archived notes folder has been de-archived into a parent folder called notes, subfolders called math and physics, and the 4 week 1 and 2 files you started with. This verifies that the original structure of your notes directory is intact. Similarly, you can decompress a tar.gz file and extract the files from it. To unpack and decompress the notes.tar.gz file, you can enter tar-xzf, followed by the compressed archive file name, notes.tar.gz, and an optional destination folder, notes. Again, by entering ls-r, you can see the directories and files have been unpacked as expected. You can use the zip command to compress files and directories and package them into a single archive. Notice the order of operations that zip implements. Zip compresses files prior to bundling them, whereas tar, with the -z option, achieves compression by applying gzip on the entire tar ball, but only after bundling it. To compress your notes directory and package it to a zip file, enter zip-r notes.zip notes. And after entering ls, you can see that the notes.zip archive has been created. The unzip command, as you might guess, extracts compressed files from a zip archive and decompresses them. To unzip your notes.zip file, simply enter unzip notes.zip. After entering ls-r, you can see that unzip has created your notes folder and unpacked your directories and your week 1 and 2 files as expected. In this video, you learned that the main advantages of file compression include preserving storage space, speeding up file transfers,
Which of the following commands can be used to list the number of lines in your account Word? Similar to curl, the widget command is used to upload GNU files to a web server for subsequent hash code analysis. Write files into URL, regular HTML build web wrangle a file to get user data and other information. Widget download qilishga ishlatiladi nimadir. Which of the following commands can be used to compress files and folders prior to bundling them? Tekshirish kerak shuni. Ishlamdi. Which shell is usually Linux, Bash, or Stephen Woods print the has ecopath. Which one of the following is a Linux command for viewing file contents? File contests. Which command can you use to create file of a text file which excludes consequence or repeated lines? Which command you can use to create a view a text file which excludes consequently repeated. Create a view of text file which excludes cd command enables you to change directories with either pass to directory which always transform the slash relative which always start with the base or slash or relative which start with the present working directory. Which of the following command shell commands for managing directories is used to delete? Which of the following common shell commands for managing files or directories can be used to create an empty file or update the last timestamp touch? Which statement regarding file archiving and compressing is true? You would archive your file if you want it to fit on your hard drive. Archiving and compressing distinct process that usually accomplishing also reducing the size of set of files by saving them as a single file. Is a collection of data file directories that stored as a network packet. Which common networking command displays information regarding your system communication devices? Which of the following statement is false? The ping command sends packet known as the call message protocol request to server listen and response and to print result. The curl command is a powerful tool that enables you to transfer data to a URL, supports many different protocols. The hostname command is used to get or set the hostname or other information packet transmission rate of a unique entering returns the entire shit. Which is usually a default Linux bash line. That was it. Bruno again shell. No tahmin edemedim. File involves reducing the size of set of files by saving them as a single file. Üçüncü model hands on interaction. Üçüncü modeldan keyin Python for data science.